It is cold. Winter is here. We're towards the end of November up here in Minnesota. Winter is definitely here. So how the hell do you stay warm camping out in this crap? Keep watching and I'll show you the tips and tricks that I do to make that happen. What is going on, friends? Rob here with Our Pelton 1. Thanks for clicking that watch button. I greatly appreciate it. Today I'm out at one of my favorite state parks. It's cold. It's probably 25, 26 degrees out here. Like I said, we haven't had any big winter snowstorms yet, but things are definitely frozen. Like that right there, that's mostly a frozen river. And out there on the frozen river, there's a bunch of Canadian geese just sitting there. Don't you guys have somewhere to go? Like south? Wait, south, is it that way? Canadian geese, but up in Canada, of course, they just call them geese. When it comes to winter time, I still get out in the woods, I still backpack, I still camp, and yes, it does get cold. So when the thermometer dips below that freezing point, that 0 degrees Celsius, 32 degrees Fahrenheit, there are some tips and tricks to help you stay warm, whether you're in your tent, in your hammock. So what are they? They're pretty simple, actually. And before we get started, keep in mind, I am not a trained professional in survival or medical or anything like that. I'm just some dumbass who goes outside and does backpacking in the summer and winter and fall. And these are the tips and tricks that have just worked for me. So your mileage may vary. Proceed at your own risk. The first thing, and this should really go without saying, but I'm gonna say it anyway. When you're out camping, and if it's gonna get down to, let's say, 10 degrees, make sure you bring a sleeping bag or a top quilt that's rated to at least that. Just be sure you're not camping in 20 degrees with a 50-degree sleeping bag. That should be fairly obvious. Just don't be that guy. That also goes with under quilts. For hammocks, make sure that your underquilt is rated for the lowest temperatures that you're expecting. And if you're sleeping on the ground, your sleeping pad, make sure it's insulated. If you're gonna be below freezing, make sure you get a sleeping pad that's, at least a 4 R value. 4 or 5 if you can. Just protect yourself from that kind of stuff. Those are the basic things. Get those right. Clothing. Bring extra clothing specifically for sleeping in. Make sure it's warm, make sure it is dry. I suggest like a thermal legging and a thermal long sleeve top. That's going to be pretty much all you need, provided your sleeping bag is rated to the warmth that you need. Big thing is socks. Make sure you bring socks, big fluffy ones that are dry, that you put on when you're about to sleep. Make sure all that stuff is dry. Do not bring any moisture with you inside of your sleeping bag. That is a huge one. The last few tips are very, very important, and I think not a lot of people think about it, and I'll get to those in just a second. There are a lot of other backpacking YouTube channels, just like mine, hiking channels, and they all have their experiences in colder weather camping, colder weather backpacking. They're going to put together a list just like this on how they keep warm in the backcountry. And I'll list those channels down in the description of this video, so hop on over and check out those guys. You'll see Becker Outdoors, Backcountry Exposure, Amy Routt, Matty Outdoors, Backcountry Forward, Huck Outdoors, Hiker Joe, A Purposeful Life, and also Trails in a Flash. I'll leave all their links down below. Check them out and pick up some more tips. One of my favorite spots in this park. This shelter I come to all the time. Gives you a little break from the wind. It's kind of in this prairie area, so the sun warms it up just a bit. It's still pretty chilly in here though. If you have any tips and tricks that you use to stay warm in the wintertime, you know, whether you live down south where cold is 50 degrees, or if you live up north like me and, you know, cold is considered 0 degrees, leave those, you know, comments down in the comment area down below. I'd be very curious to see what your tips are, and it'll help, you know, anyone who reads them learn as well. So the last few things that I do to stay warm, especially before you're going to bed. Nutrition. Now, not just Snicker bars for dinner. Make sure you keep these for dessert, obviously. But make sure you get a good, hearty meal before you go to bed. Something packed with a lot of calories. The higher in fat, the better, because fat is a very calorie-dense, calorie-rich nutrient that your body burns slower, so you'll be able to burn, keep that furnace going throughout the course of the night. Good hearty meal, high fat content before bed. Hydration. You have to make sure that you're hydrated throughout the whole course of the day, because the less water you have in your system, blood vessels are going to constrict. You're not going to get as good blood flow, you know, throughout your body. So you have to stay hydrated in order for your blood flow to circulate properly throughout your whole body. The one thing that I will say about staying hydrated though, stop drinking anything an hour before you go to bed. That'll prevent you from having to go pee right away. So just stop drinking an hour before you go to bed, but be sure to stay hydrated throughout the whole course of the day. And warm beverages, you know, those help quite a bit as well. The very last tip I have for you, even though I could go on about this subject forever, is when you're done eating, when you're done drinking for the night, is be sure that just before you go to bed, you go to the bathroom, squeeze out any few drops of pee that you have left. And also, if you feel the urge that you have to pee while you're asleep, don't wait too long before you go to the bathroom. Get out and go and relieve yourself. For a couple of reasons. One, it's uncomfortable, right? And two, if you have all that pee stored in your body has to work extra hard to keep all that fluid up to body temperature. Was it like 97.6, 98.2, whatever it is degrees? So if your body doesn't have to keep all that pee warm, it can use its energy to keep your body warm better, much more efficient. So go pee when you have to. Just go. Those are my tips to help stay warm while you're in the backcountry, sleeping or at camp or what have you. And keep in mind, like I said, those are tips that have worked for me, so your mileage may vary. I appreciate you stopping by. If you want to learn more tips and tricks, like I said, check out those channels down in the description. We'll have a lot more information on what they do to keep warm. But as I always say, get outside, enjoy this big, beautiful world. See you on the trail.